Board of Select meeting of July 11th, 2016. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to have a quick moment of silence for our law enforcement officers in Dallas and other states that are going through a really tough time right now, and I know we're all feeling it nationwide, so just a quick moment of silence. Thank you. Bob, Town Administrator report.
Okay. There is, you would ask me to make some calls to potential interim town administrator candidates. This is a difficult time of the year because June 30, there are people who retire, they don't get renewed, they decide to retire, and so the market is fairly tight. I did attempt to reach 3. I only was successful in getting one person to come here tonight who will be here at 6:30. If you decide to hire, fine. If you decide against, I can help you. I know where there's several potential candidates who would be interested. I really thought that the former interim TA in Winchendon, Bernie Lynch, would be interested since he was there for 4 or 5 months. No, he's not. Also, another person I knew from Northfield, he's not interested. So this is just a time when there are quite a few communities that are changing their administrator or manager, and market's a bit tight. Hubbardston Road paving was completed today. I just took a ride over there when the electricity went out, and I think it's a good job and something that will certainly serve the town well. They did not pave the entire route, but there's one section that was in reasonably good condition. But for the funds we had available, we finished off Hubbardston. The next major project will be South Road. I sent you a copy today of a proposed contract for the Highway Department and the Sewer Department employees. I don't have their approval yet, but we can review it after the meeting in executive session. But frankly, I've reviewed the terms with you before. There was just that one item, if you recall, from the last exec session. And I have made out a contract basically reflecting the decision of the Board of Selectmen on that. We now have our financial records in order and ready for auditing, fiscal 13. And you got 14 in order too?
They're inputted, they're not reconciled.
Right. But I think you all may have received some bad news from the auditors last week through an email that it is very likely that they're going to postpone doing our audits until January.
All at once.
The Complete Streets program application is complete. Actually, I thought it was complete about 3 weeks ago because you had adopted the policy, if you recall. I uploaded the policy. We uploaded the letter of intent. We thought we were good. I didn't hear back from them, and so I called them last week at some point to say, are we complete and ready to apply for funds? And I was told that we were not complete. Anyway, it's a long story, but the first file that contained the policy that the selectmen adopted was not signed, if you recall.
Right.
They sent me a message, the chair of the board has to sign it, we had you sign it, I uploaded it, but apparently the upload didn't take because you have to remove the other file. And there was no indication to me that you had to remove the other file. Anyway, got it straightened out today.
Okay.
The signed copy of the town's policy is uploaded into the website, and we are ready to seek funding. There's upwards of $50,000 available for design purposes through this program. Sounds like a lot of money, but communities are getting funded at that level. This is what they'll do. Provide funds so that you can hire a consultant who will then come out and design the street system for the town. And basically, where appropriate, suggest sidewalks, where appropriate, suggest a bike path. So that in the future, when streets are resurfaced or there's a street project, there'll be guidelines for what's to be done. Obviously, bike paths are not appropriate for many streets in town. The big arterial streets like this one out here, I think it'd be dangerous to have a bike
Right.
path. Sidewalks are not always appropriate either, but you'd get a design. I would also recommend that when you contract, that you get a pavement management program included. And that is where the consultant evaluates every street in town and comes up with a plan based upon need for rebuilding or reconstructing streets, for maintaining streets. And in some cases, they'll say, this street is in poor condition and has to undergo complete reconstruction. In other cases, they'll say, this street is in reasonably good condition, the base is, and all you need to do is an overlay. And then thirdly, they'll say, this street is in reasonably good condition, but you can prolong the pavement life by doing crack sealing to prevent water from seeping in the wintertime and damaging the street through the freeze-thaw cycle. So all that, I think, would be certainly a very objective way for the town to address improving streets in the future.
Can I just, do they work with do they also talk to the water and sewer department about the
Yes.
infrastructure underneath?
Well, that's a good idea. I don't know that they would automatically do that, but
Well, I mean, if you're going to have a pavement management program, I mean, that's.
oh,
But
absolutely.
we've kind of ignored some
agree.
of that.
I agree. You ought to
I mean,
combine capital planning with water and sewer, or for that matter, create a DPW. That's the advantage of a DPW.
Right. Right. Yeah, yeah.
The water department knows which lines need to be replaced,
Right.
when they're going to replace them. The sewer department knows the same. And so you avoid a situation, except when something extraordinary happens, you avoid the situation where you do a street reconstruction or resurfacing, and then a year later or 2 years later, the street is dug up because the water line has to be replaced. So, I mean, I don't think the town's going to create a DPW, but certainly coordinating capital planning with water and sewer makes complete sense, saves the taxpayers money. No matter how good a job they do when they dig a trench, it doesn't have, the road doesn't have the same integrity that it had before they made the cuts.
Right.
So the next step, I expected a call back today, didn't get one. I've told Holly where we stand with this. The next step is, once they provide the information that the application is complete, then to be members of the Complete Streets program, then it's a matter of applying for the funds. There's a funding cycle that ends in a couple of days, and then the next funding cycle is in September. So you have to file the application by, I think it's mid-September. So Also, with our Community Compact program, as you know, we're going to get at minimum 15,000 and perhaps as much as 20,000 to assist in this project that we've talked about of achieving an Excellence in Budgeting award from the Government Finance Officers Association. There's much more that can be done, and with the assistance of the Department of Revenue and their funding, we're going to have the opportunity to bring in probably one of the staffers at the Collins Institute, because they work with the DOR, to help in that process. Secondly, as you remember, we had 3 areas where we asked for support from the Commonwealth for the Community Compact. One was budgeting, another one was regionalization of services, and the third one was IT security. IT security, I think, is critically important as we are improving the IT system in the town, as we are likely to have a file server going here shortly. You, I'm sure, have read about threats that occur now, mostly from Russians, who have this software where they can basically seize control of your data and force you to pay ransom. And one town has already had to pay a ransom to retrieve their data. Right. So this is a real threat. And before we go too far with our own IT operations here in the town, we need to, I think, use this program to improve IT security. 2 other things that I think you should keep in mind, and that is we have a contract for the police chief that's pending action by the Board of Selectmen. We have a personnel policies and procedures manual pending approval by the Board of Selectmen. I think we're almost there for that. And I think that's it.
Did you guys finish up the police chief's contract before I left? No.
We just, I'll have to look at it, but
That's good.
I'll go over the terms of the highway
Okay.
contract proposal later.
on the list here, it says contact with search firms for July 21 interviews, but we
Yes.
had to change the date of the joint meeting, correct, to the 21st, so
Okay.
I was a little confused as to where that stood.
Well, I've contacted 3 firms. There are 3 firms, now 4, I guess, that do public sector search. Town administrators, police chief, fire chief, department heads.
Right.
I've contacted 3 and only found out recently that there's a 4th one just starting up. The 3 that have probably 98% of the business in Massachusetts, Mark Morse and the Mass Municipal Association Consulting Group. I talked with Mark. He told me that he has more business than he can handle right now, and he declined. I talked with Tom Grew, G-R-O-U-X. He is a private consultant doing executive searches for the public sector. He's based in North Chatham on the Cape. And he submitted materials, which I just got today and asked, do they have copies? Oh,
A couple of them do, but I'll have to give the rest.
okay. Well, he just submitted his materials today, and you'll get copies of that. And then thirdly, the third one is the Collins Institute at UMass Boston. They do a lot of the work, and it's up to the board to decide, but they will do something called a half search. And you get the great advantage of having a search firm, the outreach that they do. But there's more work for the Board of Selectmen in reviewing credentials and doing interviews than would normally be the case. The upside of that, it's about $8,000 to $8,500, $8,000 to $8,500, versus a full search is going to run you $15,000, $16,000.
Right.
So when we were in the budget process last year and this year, we only put $8,500 in there because kind of thought that given the financial situation of the town, that taking the lower cost option would probably make sense. But there again, a decision for the Board of Selectmen. So. And so what you're saying is we should contact them again and reschedule?
What I'm thinking is maybe, could they come at the beginning of the joint meeting to meet with the Board of Selectmen?
I think we should interview them.
Separately?
Yeah, that's gonna be
Well,
confusing.
it's a hiring firm, so, okay, we can probably push them off then,
Maybe the next
the
meeting,
next meeting.
instead of
what are
cramming
we-
it all
I'm
into,
sorry.
To talk to the Collins Group, and
I don't have,
it's just Collins and Tom Grew, right, at this point?
It's going to be Collins and Tom Grew.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
And they both sent in literature as
They
far
both
as
sent proposals.
proposals.
Yes.
oh boy.
Okay.
Well, I don't think that should be a subject for a joint meeting with anybody.
No,
That's
no,
not-
no,
yeah.
we're gonna push it off to the next, which would be August.
The next meeting would be, July 25th, which.
25th,
I won't be here
26th.
for, but That's your next regularly scheduled, right?
Right.
The next, so maybe doing it that day?
Yeah.
You want to go
I'll
with that
keep you
day,
posted.
Or you want to wait till you have a full board? 'Cause
No,
Diane's
you guys
unavailable.
you shouldn't wait. You shouldn't wait. I think this is really important.
And I think Doug had a great idea anyways with the full search and that idea
Yeah, you guys
too.
can talk about,
We'll talk
yeah.
about that.
So can we have, who can call them and just reschedule?
Who?
Can just call, Collins and
And-
Tom Grew to reschedule to the 25th? I guess it was set up for the 21st. That's what we weren't sure of,
Yeah, I put them on the agenda for that. Did we not want to do that?
for
No,
the 25th?
21st.
no. make
No,
it-
yeah, no, no, that's not a
Yep.
good idea.
6:30?
Yeah,
Yep,
so if they were first, then,
yep,
great.
yep, that's perfect.
Uh,
Makes more sense.
Okay, so
I wanna get this sooner rather than later.
this is my final report to the board.
I framed mine.
I would like to thank
I'm just kidding.
I would like to thank the Board of Selectmen and the people of Templeton for the opportunity to work for them. I never use the word work. I usually say I'm going to town hall or I'm going to the office because I enjoy this so much that it really isn't work.
Right.
And I think it's 2 years and 5 months that I've been here, and I think we've accomplished a few things, and there's plenty more to do. When I came here in February of 2014, not much was going on. I mentioned this afternoon to John. He said that's because we were pretty much shut down. Now, as you can see from this list, and this is not comprehensive, there's a lot going on, and I really do believe that you need an administrator who's going to be here more than 2 days, 3, 4 days, I think would be appropriate. Because there is a lot going on, and quite frankly, I only have positive things to say about this community. I think that with decisions in recent years to build a school, I think that's going to make the town considerably more attractive to young couples with children looking for a place to buy a home. That should help everybody's property values, no doubt about that. The economy is growing again. We had substantial new growth the last year, and we have new growth again this year. So relying on a 2.5%, Prop 2.5 increase every year to fund the operations of the town and the schools isn't realistic. You can't do it. Obviously, the schools, if you take the schools, the cost of health insurance, the cost of retirement, there it goes. There's not much left. And so the town can not only survive, but it can prosper with some significant new growth, whether it means people putting an addition onto their house or an occasional new development. That was the individual who is supposed to be here at 6:30.
It's probably in
Cut
traffic.
him off. Yeah, that's probably what he's going to say. I'm in traffic on Route 2. But I think, with measured new growth in housing, expansion of existing properties, and some commercial growth, then the town can cope with the challenge of surviving on a fixed amount of revenue. We get lectured from time to time by the state that they think that the towns in some ways aren't governing well. Well, the state, if you take a look, they never increase their budget less than 4% a year.
Right.
And, I think that's probably a good range. We have, in addition to, the health insurance and retirement, we have contracts for our employees and so forth. I think we made some progress there as well, trying to align employee salaries with the regional market. And I expect that you'll find fewer of the department heads departing, as we have seen in the last couple of years. I've been here less than 3 years and hired 5 department heads, and a 6th one is coming. So, I think we have to be optimistic about the future for the community. It's a nice community. It's a long way from where I live, but there's no reason why the town should be pessimistic or cynical about its future. I think just the opposite. I think it's going to work well. So I'll see what the message is here. So again, thank you, and thank citizens of the town.
Thanks, Bob. I appreciate your service.
Thank you.
We're going to talk about the holiday hours or no?
I,
Bob, we're going to talk about the holiday hours, the 8 hours, 10 hours? Have we go into that at
We
all?
haven't, well, it's kind of an intractable issue. Our
Contraction.
policy is when there's a holiday,
Yep.
employees receive 8 hours of holiday pay. That was put into place before the switch to the 40-hour week in
4
4
days.
days.
I got you.
And so actually,
Makes no sense.
there's a mismatch there, and it's not something simple to solve. I think maybe having a little subgroup take a look at that and see carefully what the options are. I put this down here because every time we have a holiday, I hear from employees that they think that they're not being treated fairly because their day
It's a 10-hour
is
day.
a 10-hour day. So,
well, I talked to a couple of employees, and they said that before your time, when you came, that was probably before my time on the board, that they were going to do 8 hours on a Monday and have to be open at night. But I don't know where to look in minutes for that, and that was supposed to be the deal. So changing from 8 to 10 if that's really an accurate statement, we should look that up, and we should stick with the policy, and we should be open at, and I believe that we are. The clerk is here, Luann is here. I'm not sure about other people. I don't really necessarily pay attention to that, but that's what I was told. So I don't know if anyone can confirm
it's not
or
uncommon.
deny that. It was,
Yeah,
okay, then
that
we
was-
should be
that was-
working our 8 hours, if that's what the board voted, and then I did not know that
Right.
until recently, so I don't get to recognize you, Jeff, I'm
When we
sorry.
moved
Yeah, Jeff.
here,
It was late
Go ahead.
13, it was after the override in 13. So it's probably, if it's in the minutes, like November, December, because that was the
It's
deal, to give them,
13. Okay,
when we had the override for the
Yeah.
school, and we put extra money in there to give the
Okay.
hours back to the employees. and
So
the
we should
discussion
look
of
in
the
those
days
mi- I-
to close,
yeah.
and part of it was for energy savings, but it was a 3-day weekend as kind of a,
Yeah.
I looked at it as a benefit for them putting up with
Right.
the cut hours and everything. So after the override in, I think it was October or so it'd be probably November, December in the minutes.
Of
somewhere around there.
2013?
So I think that we should
Yes.
look
Okay.
that up.
I'll look
Um,
that up.
It is, and when we moved here, we ended up, the selectman's office, I talked about changing our hours to not work late on Tuesday, because I'm usually here late on Monday nights. So it was just exhausting to be here late, till 9 o'clock on Monday and then work late on Tuesday as well, so we just cut it down.
It was an
Well, I
eight-
guess the
what
board
was it,
didn't
8,
re-vote
12,
on that,
10.
so, but no
Okay.
matter, I would like to see
I'll
those
look at that.
minutes.
Yeah.
Right, to all of us, please.
Yep.
Just so that we could have another discussion. And then, year-end evaluations, were those done for the department heads? Did you finish those?
No,
Okay.
I'm going to.
So the- Okay,
I said I
Thank
would
you.
do it. I'm going to finish them up. I'll
Okay,
get them out there.
okay.
that sounds good.
It's, I mean, I had plenty of time to do it. I've just been down with health issues for the last few weeks. And
Okay. All right, thank you.
All right.
Sorry.
That's great. Thanks, Jeff. And what did Ragucci say anything? Mr. Ragucci?
I did not call him
And
back.
he's not here. I don't see him.
Well, I can find out right now.
Okay.
Is there anything that we can take care of before 6:45?
Maybe in a minute?
The minutes?
Oh, sure. I just had one question, Harley, before I'm happy to make a motion. So the minutes that we said that we were changing to not have the title removed.
Yeah.
So you just changed that, but they were already voted yes, right?
They were voted, and I just
They don't have to
changed
come
it.
back.
Right.
Okay,
I just changed
so
the title
that was,
and then-
that was my only question, but I make a motion to approve the minutes of Monday, June 27th, 2016 as written.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion, I have a second, I have any discussion?
Second.
She did.
Yeah.
Okay, any discussion?
Oh, no.
I see no discussion. Diane?
Yes, sorry.
That's okay, Julie?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well.
We could do the contract, probably quick too. Want to do that?
What are we doing?
Well, we can confirm the hiring
On
of
the
the.
hiring of the
that's-
coordinator?
Is there
Yeah.
anything to say about that, or can we just make a motion to confirm the hiring of
Okay.
Alicia O'Malley to the position of activities coordinator at the Council on Aging?
I have a motion, do I have a second? I guess I'll second. Any discussion?
I just had a question.
Go ahead.
Did she give her notice for her position here prior to getting hired over there?
Would you repeat?
No.
Did she give her notice here? Did she
No.
give a reasonable, respectable notice here?
I did get a verbal notice.
Okay. The same day that she was hired there, or 2-week notice, or? Well.
I was told at one point that she was an applicant, I don't remember the exact date, and I walked up to her maybe 2 weeks later and said, "What's going on?
Yeah.
Are you likely to be hired?" And she said, "Yes." So that's what we have.
Did we have a second?
Yes,
I second it.
Joan?
Any other discussion concerning the hiring of the activities coordinator? Yes.
I'd like to
Dave.
voice my opinion of just up and changing from HR to the other one without somebody else coming in, maybe getting broken in and show them the ropes.
Mhm.
It's kind of like dropping the ball and running. I don't know. It doesn't seem like a position that you would do that from HR.
Right. Well, obviously, there are policies in place for the specific movements within, obviously, the town of Templeton or as a transfer, because I'm looking at it as a transfer from one, one department to another within the developments of Templeton. I believe the town administrator by bylaws has the rights to hire, along with the council on aging director, based on her bylaws. But obviously, there should have been some discussion between the director of council on aging and obviously the town administrator on coordination of that time.
I
Yes.
recommended that we get a clarification from town council
Yep.
as to what the bylaw means in terms of appointments. Does the new process trump, that's a bad word to use.
No.
Does the new process
Don't use that word.
overcome, does it overcome the other hiring methodologies? Here he is. So. Hello?
Yes.
Yes.
One second. Yes, Diane.
We
Diana.
really want to go here in open meeting.
We're here
There is a whole trail of emails.
at the other end.
And there was notification made.
Oh,
There was
no.
notification made, but it
We're
wasn't.
one-
Hold on one second.
I'm speaking. There was
Hold on a second.
notification
Whoa,
made.
whoa, whoa, wait a minute.
Wait,
You're
wait.
speaking if the chair tells you you can speak.
Hold on.
I did get permission to
I
speak.
gave Diane permission to speak. Stand by, Holly. Go ahead, Diane.
I made notification that I wanted to hire her.
Mhm.
I asked what the procedure was. I got no response.
Who did
So
you,
ha-
who did you ask?
Oh. And I forwarded that email
Enough
to
said.
all of you.
Thank you very much. That's all I need. Thank you.
And I got no response from any of
I,
you.
from,
So, there is no procedure.
okay. Thank you.
That's what I figured.
I appreciate it.
Can I respond now that I was shut up?
Hold on one second, Holly. Yes.
Under the new personnel policies and procedures, there was discussion at a number of meetings
Mhm.
by the board, and I believe that part of it was that whoever was in that position was going to have to reapply for that position. And if they
When
were
the,
qualified or not.
when the name change and title changes took place?
Yeah,
Um,
that's,
I
Was
recall
that before me?
as well.
Yeah, it was-
Policy
Is that
hasn't
before
been
me?
it
adopted
was a
yet.
person working
Hasn't
themselves
been
out.
The
of
policy
job.
hasn't been adopted.
It hasn't been approved yet. It just got back from legal,
Right.
so
But,
it's
I
not in
mean-
play.
I believe Alicia
There
was
was an
aware of
application.
that possible change
Yeah.
and may have been looking for more security
And it-
somewhere else.
Very true. Is a possibility, and obviously there was some other personality issues or conflicts, other developments that come up, and I understood her perspective, and I understand the point. Yes,
An application was submitted.
yes,
The procedure was followed to a T.
okay. Hold on one second. Go ahead, Julie.
I just wanted to say that you mentioned that you sent an email to all of the selectmen. I was not aware of that.
I
didn't
sent a copy
receive
of
it.
the email that I sent notifying Bob that I wanted to put her at. that I
Right,
would
but
like
you
to
also
hire.
said that you CC'd every selectman. Did everyone
got it.
else receive that? Because I didn't receive that. Okay.
I can resend it to you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you, Diana. Holly, what do you got?
I just wanted to say that the notice, Alicia did let us know that she had applied for the position.
Mm-hmm. When was that?
20th or something.
Okay.
And it's not about how everything was done, I'm sure it was done fine, but once a job is accepted, to me, that should be a 2-week notice at that point, not just up and leave.
Okay.
I mean, I think she'll be great at the CO, I think that job is perfect for her, and I'm happy for her, but I just feel like there was no notice given.
Okay. All right, well, thank you so much. You have anything else to add, Diana?
I think there needs to be a procedure for lateral moves.
Great call.
And there's not a
Yep.
procedure. And frankly, in other positions that I've been in, a 2-week notice was never required when I moved from one department to another.
Well, we have to come up with some type of policy, maybe when the new town administrator comes in, and these are things that we're gonna be dumping on that individual, because there should be policies in place, especially with the bylaw changes for the town administrator, and what his roles and responsibilities are, what the taxpayers pay him or her to do. He or she needs to his or her responsibilities. Yes, Dave?
So where do we go for HR now?
HR, you're gonna come see Holly for right now.
An ad is being
And that,
readied.
yes. That ad is being ready, and it's going out to the Mass Municipal with specific criteria to have certain credentials, I guess you would use, or skill sets to be used for HR. So whoever the person that comes to is hired by the new town administrator and or by the Board of Selectmen, they will be ready to rock and roll as soon as they get in the door. Yes. Yes, thank you.
I have a question.
Hold that 1 second.
I'm sorry.
We have to stop.
We have to
because
stop
of
for a
the
second.
hearing,
I have
so we'll have to
a,
continue.
I have a 6:45 public hearing on a trailer permit park. I'm opening the public hearing effective 6:45 on July 11th concerning the trailer permit for 109 Baldwinville Road. Is the residents here? Hi, how are you? Great. Now, some of us, got this paperwork, and some of us got it sooner than others and later than others. So I did take some time to look at it, so you went through all your procedural, the sewer department, the light department, the Board of Health. Okay. Planning Board, yeah, I always forget
Yeah,
this.
I talked
The plan-
extensively with the.
You did. I did. I saw the plans, very nice trailer, very nice trailer.
Oh, there it is.
There's emails in
Sorry,
there.
missed it. It's right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's emails from the sewer department approving it. Building inspector's just waiting for the board's approval to move forward.
I make a motion to approve the application for the trailer mobile home permit for Inissa Sargent at 109 Baldwinville Road, Templeton, Massachusetts.
I second that motion.
John, point of order.
Yes.
Oh,
A motion is not,
No, it's a public hearing.
Sorry.
yeah,
I got-
you've
I
got to
I did it
complete the
wrong.
public hearing.
I haven't, I've got the, we're almost there yet. We're almost there.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hold that thought. Is there any abutters to your land here? Can you step forward, ma'am?
Well, I got to know it.
Oh, you did, okay. Do you have anything to add to this public hearing?
This is for a trailer.
Yes, ma'am.
What is the zoning for trailers in Baldwinville Road?
Well, obviously, it went through the zoning procedures prior to coming to us as the Board of Selectmen, so it met the criteria for the zoning laws.
So that we weren't notified of the zoning. Well, this was the first I heard of it.
Okay.
It's replacing the one I live in now.
Right, it's the replacing the older trailer that resides here now with a newer, more modernized, trailer situation.
So what if I wanted to put 10 trailers in my property? Is that legal?
Well, you would have to go to the zoning board, I would assume, and file an
Planning board.
application with them. Yes, ma'am.
Board of Health.
On Board of Health and electrical
So
sewer.
my question is, I thought the zoning didn't permit trailers.
It's grandfathered in.
No, that was, because there's a trail that's already there. It is grandfathered in based on what the planning board came up with, to us with. Now, obviously, if there wasn't a trailer there, then she would not be able to put a trailer back there. She's grandfathered, she's replacing her existing home with a new trailer home.
Okay.
Thank you for your input, though, I appreciate it. Anybody else abutting? No? Do I have to close the hearing first?
Yes.
All right. I have a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Diane?
So
Yeah,
moved.
so
We
moved,
need a
yeah.
second.
John, you good? Okay. Julie, you good?
Good.
All right. Can I have a motion for the acceptance of the trailer, please? You can do the motion for the trailer now.
Nope, we didn't vote.
Oh, we did.
So there was a first, who was the second?
Julie?
You were the second?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Then I said yep, and you
Okay,
said yep.
did you
and
get
I
all
said
that?
yep.
I didn't get all that. So
You
I
get
make
all that,
a.
Yep.
Thank you.
I make a- Oh, I should turn these up.
Sorry, I should speak louder.
I make a motion to approve the application for a trailer mobile home permit for Inissa Sargent at 109 Baldwinville Road, Templeton, Mass.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. Any other discussion? I see none. Julie? Julie?
Yes.
Yes. Diane?
Yes,
John?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Grab that, Holly.
thank you.
Thank you so much for coming, I really appreciate it, and the trail looks very nice.
Do I need any paperwork or should I just?
I'll get the permit to you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Actions on highway bid and contracts? Do you have any-
We have to finish
Oh.
the,
Oh, I did.
the COA activities coordinator.
Oh, that's right, we're gonna go back to the COA. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Going back to the COA.
I think Kate had her hand in the air.
Kate, do you have something?
Yeah, I have my
Thank
hand
you.
up. You're looking for a candidate to replace Ms. O'Malley, and you mentioned that it's in the public register, but I hope it will also be in the local press, because I'm sure we have someone locally who might serve the position quite adequately, and they're not going to necessarily be looking at the register, the state register.
Understood. Okay.
It's out, it's on the, it's on Mass Job
We
Quest,
don't do that anymore.
and it's
No,
on
it's
the Mass
cost too much money. It's
website
$200.
because it's requiring more experience.
Yeah. Thank you, though. Appreciate it. And someone else? Yes, sir.
I have a question. Is this public forum? If I'm a Templeton resident, can I just speak out?
You can direct your questions to me, yes.
Yes, okay. My name is John Bohigian. I live on 171 South Road in Templeton. I own 172 through 178 Road, South Road. I brought...
Chair, can I make a point of order here?
Is this about?
We have a motion on the
Yeah.
floor on another
I
matter.
think he was
Yeah.
asking
Well, you-
when he could speak.
When can you speak?
Just-
Yes.
Just
Is it
give-
about this?
Is it about the COA?
No, it's not.
Okay, then just, can you give me a minute?
Absolutely.
All right, thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
All right, now going back to, thank you for the point of order, I appreciate it. Now going back to the COA, hiring, any other questions or any other discussion concerning that? Hiring of Miss Alicia O'Malley?
Confirmation?
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, you have a question, go ahead, John.
Who's the hiring authority?
The hiring authority is the town administrator, with the appointing authority of the Board of Selectmen, but within the bylaws of the Council on Aging, it's in her bylaws, which have validated itself all the way up to the Attorney General's office, so it's been validated. Obviously, there's been some working things that need to be policies in place for some future lateral transfers within departments.
All right.
But
So I'm a little confused about the wording here. Confirmation. Are we appointing? Are we, why do, I don't think we need to confirm. Are we making an
we do,
appointment?
because it's a whole new job, it's a whole new position.
No, that's not why.
Is it?
No, for the other people that have been hired by the town administrator, police, it doesn't matter. He would bring the names forward and we confirm, ratify that he's hired them. We've done it for every other position that I've been in office. So I don't remember where it is at the moment, but we've done it all along. So this is not a new procedure. We've done this.
Right.
So that's why we're only confirming, we're not appointing, we're just confirming that he is.
But
She's hired.
but my point is, what happens if it's a no vote? If the person doesn't get the job?
I don't know.
What happens if
If it's a no vote.
Oh. I
That's
think
a
we
great
have-
question.
We have certainly an unusual procedure based on an unclear understanding of who the hiring authority is. Normally, I would bring it in, and if you voted no, then the person wouldn't go on the payroll.
Right. But this is kind of unique circumstances, because policies were in place, there's certain things that aren't in place at this point.
I'm not asking in opposition to the appointment. I'm just,
I don't know.
I'm just
know.
questioning what the process is.
Yeah. Because that's why
Yeah,
the,
again, I think we need to consult town council to
Yes.
get clarity on the meaning of the new bylaw
Right.
for hiring in some of those departments that typically were hiring independently.
yeah, because your email is right on these, I just put the process. All right, so do I have a motion to,
We have a
Just a
motion
point
and
of
a second.
clarification. That position was voted on by town meeting and approved by town meeting to have that position.
Which position?
We're not questioning.
But that's not the question.
no, we're not
Yeah.
questioning the
Oh,
position.
we're not
It's
questioning
the whole
the
point of
Okay.
the lateral position changes from
I'm
one.
sorry,
Leaving
Will,
one open
which
and one-
position were
yeah.
you, what, the town administrator?
No,
Position?
COA.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Sorry, I was
Yep.
confused.
I got you. All right, so we have a motion and we have a second. Any other discussion? I see none. Let's do the vote, Diane.
Yes?
Julie?
Abstain.
Abstain. John?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Yes.
A couple of other points to be clarified. First of all, we have always advertised every position that's available when they became available. One of the other unclear areas of personnel policy for the town has to do with lateral transfers. And clearly, we are coming into a time when I think your next administrator is going to be looking at job descriptions. When we revise the job description, question might come up, do you have to advertise the position? I think the position that we took was, in our office, is that the descriptions were revised to reflect the work actually being done. And so we didn't advertise for those jobs. But I think we need to have, before we get into the process of revising job descriptions, some kind of clarity is going to be needed there. And also, lastly, we now have a practice where every new employee should come before the Board of Selectmen to be introduced, regardless of how they're appointed now. Again, you don't have to meet Alicia, but that's a good practice, I think, so that both the Select Board and the public will know
Who they
are.
who's coming on the payroll.
Right.
And so, regardless of how they're hired, and this even applies with the fire chief and the police chief, strong chiefs, who do have the legal authority in the law to do hiring. We've established the policy that any new police officers and firefighters would come to be introduced to the Select Board.
Right. Did you get all that, Holly? Thank you. Yes, Diana?
I agree with everything he said, and wholeheartedly.
Mhm.
Um,
Is she happy?
She's ecstatic.
Are you happy?
I am.
That's all I want.
And I think she's gonna do a great job. And
Oh, yeah.
We just need clarification on that.
Yes, you're absolutely right, 100%. Without a doubt. Thank you. We go on to actions highway bids now. I do declare that we just talk about the action highway bids and contracts.
There were 2 bids that we put out. Most of the contracts we extended for another year. One was for diesel fuel, and there was only one person that put a bid in. It's Hoodle Oil for $1.66 per gallon, fixed price, or no, I'm sorry, that's the variable, or $1.97 per gallon, fixed price. So I guess we would award it to them.
So we only got one for the.
For that one, yeah, and for rock salt, we got 5 of them. The lowest apparent bidder is for $72.88 per ton. It's American Rock Salt out of Mount Morris, New York. And they did put everything required in their packet, including the bid bond. Just because things seem to fall through, if you guys could vote to award it to them, and if something happens to the next lowest bidder.
What was the per ton?
$72.88. And that was American Rock Salt.
Okay. Yes, Dave?
Well, we know what the state bids are?
I'm sure she has them.
I don't know what they are now.
Oh, she doesn't have the stipends.
I believe they're higher though.
No,
I'll have to see them.
yeah, I'll have to,
And that, well, for the rock salt, right, not for
Rock
the.
salt and fuel, we get state bid fuel right now.
Okay, then
Really?
I guess
I already talked to Bud about them though, and he agrees with awarding them.
what one?
Both of them. The low bidder for the rock salt and Hula.
When do these need to be in by, Bob?
Diesel.
They need to be in for this fiscal year, right? So effective 1 July?
Yes. This is for the coming winter season.
Just wondering why these weren't brought to us like a month ago.
We just did the bidding.
Oh, you just did them?
Yeah.
Okay. We have to look at the process
But
of
we don't
of
get to
bidding.
see what the state bid in addition to that?
I don't even look at the state bid. If we're putting it out to bid, then people are bidding on it. Bud, before he sends it to me, he looks at all that stuff.
Okay.
Okay.
So Bud is saying that he's recommending that we
Yeah.
accept these.
If
The
you
Mount
guys wanna wait
Morris-
till the next meeting, that's fine.
Mount Morris
It's
and,
not urgent.
No, right.
no, I need to talk to, I want to talk to them. I mean, I'm sure
And
there's
what
a process.
happens if we don't do this at this meeting?
What's
nothing.
we can bring it to the next meeting.
Okay,
You just said
We
that.
can do it at the next meeting and
I just would like to see everything, and I would prefer that Bud come and,
Present it.
I mean, okay, can somebody, I'm sure I've asked this before, bidding the amount of number one, $1.66 delivered per gallon fixed price, or
think
bid
those-
number two, so this is from the same
those should be
company?
switched. I think I wrote those in there backwards.
Well,
The lower
it says,
price is the
or
variable rate.
$1.97 per gallon variable rate.
Right, that's actually the fixed rate. I wrote them in there the wrong way.
Okay,
The higher price is the
so-
fixed rate.
Okay, that makes more, I was like, okay, so, yeah, no.
That was
Yeah.
an error.
No. And I'm sure there's a process on this, I mean, on how the bidding process works and when bids are supposed to go out, when they're supposed to come in. I'm sure there's gotta be, because it's, again, just like everything else in life, there's always a process for everything. So I'm assuming it's not on July 1st
I
that
don't-
bids go out, I'm assuming. And they must go out like months before the calendar or the
When did
fiscal
he
year.
send out for bids?
Most of the time, he doesn't do it, I do it.
Oh, okay.
Bud,
Oh.
the highway?
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't do that?
No, they send them to
The
me.
Board of Selectmen office?
Yeah, the Board of Selectmen's office is supposed to do all the bidding.
We do all the bidding.
Okay.
Yep, I got
And
you.
the policy has always been, and I think it's a good policy, to bid every contract on a regular basis.
Right,
If not annually, certainly every 2 or 3 years.
right. No, I
You can
agree.
easily slide into a situation where
We did that with the
price goes
health.
inches up and,
Right.
and
Oh, wait, all right.
And all the policies were followed. I advertised them like they needed to be.
Yep, no, I got you. I got you. And Bud is definitely recommending Hewlett for the fuel and
The lowest bidder, American Rock Salt.
out of New York.
Wasn't that last year's too?
I don't think so. I think it might have been
I wanna say
Mid-American.
that sounds familiar, but.
All right, we can do that next meeting. Let's table that. Alan? How you doing, Mr. Mayor? How are you?
Good.
Great. Good evening. Here, actions on grant signing?
Yes, back in February, I brought to the board the authorization for the grant for the tunes. At that time, Bob was gonna be with us for the season. Bob has decided to resign, so that leaves us a void in signing the contracts and those kind of things. The Mass Historical Commission has Bob's name as the town administrator authorized to do the signing. So what I'm asking you to do is vote for the chair to be able to do the signing on this grant process. We have been awarded the grant. I am due to be in Boston on the 13th, so we don't have a lot of time to get this done. I did send an email to Mass Historical advising them that Bob was leaving the town, and that's what they recommended us to do, in order that they have a signatory authorized by the town that they can sign the contracts and go through all the paperwork for the grant process. It's a normal process. I've been through it 3 times, this will be the 3rd time now. The first 2 times it was always the chair of the board. This February, we thought if we did the town administrator, he would be more available and easier, he could be in the office all the time, and then,
Understood.
so that's what I'm looking for, is not to
Can I
change.
just borrow that paperwork for a minute, like to know like just how to word the motion, please?
This is the request. This is the new authorization list. And all it changes is just where the town coordinator was for all of those things to the town administrator, to the chair of the board. This was the original that you voted. So see everywhere where,
What's
I
the
see.
name?
everywhere where Bob's name is, John's name is there.
This is for the two, okay, so, do we need to rescind our previous vote?
No,
We don't?
no.
So we just,
All you need to do is just authorize John to be
okay.
the signee for the town for those things.
It's all the same stuff, right?
Yeah, it's all the same stuff, and then I'll need John to just sign the paperwork
The chairman?
so that I can take it to the town clerk tomorrow and get it stamped. It has to be sealed by the town seal, and then I'll take it to Boston with me.
Okay.
So I make a motion for the chairman of the select board to sign the tomb restoration grant application.
Second.
I have a motion, I have a second. I haven't, any discussion? Thank you. I hear no, and see no discussion. Diane?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Can
Alan.
I just make one comment, if you
Yes,
don't mind?
you're not around, Diane, go ahead.
It was really nice to go out to Pine Grove Cemetery, and Glenn was there too, to walk around with Alan to explain about the master plan, and I just wanted to say thank you. It was very educational
I
for us to keep moving forward
I
with
do
that.
have a quick follow-up on that. I have been in contact with Dave Crispin from BSC,
Oh, yeah.
and he has agreed to come out and do a presentation for you.
Great.
So I'll be scheduling that for one of your meetings so that
Yep.
the residents can see on TV and stuff.
No, I can't wait.
Great, thank you.
I can't wait. It's gonna be exciting.
It is
It's gonna be great for the
exciting.
town. Exciting.
Thank you.
No, like more people living on top of it.
When you put it that way, I can understand that. Scout Hall updates?
Yes, actually, the heating system has been upgraded, all set to go. And now the next step, we're gonna discuss the 3 bids that we have on electrical, and we're gonna ask them to go in and start working on that.
Excellent.
So it's going along,
And Hugh had no issue downstairs?
no issues.
Awesome. Awesome. That's great. Any other, we want to comment about the project?
What do we do to the heating system?
They upgraded it. They changed a few different things, and they just cleaned it out and so forth. Actually,
Maintenance.
the actual heating system was in great shape.
Yeah.
They just cleaned it all up, and then they replaced a few pipings, and went well.
That's awesome. Yes?
I think it'd be nice if the Scout Hall Committee maybe broadened their horizons a little bit
Mhm.
and looked at maybe making other improvements
Yep.
in the immediate area.
Oh, that sounds great. I
Yeah.
can bring it up in the next committee
Yeah.
meeting.
Because, I think it's nice that we're gonna be able to do something and make that building usable, but on the other hand, the area that it's in could use a little
TLC?
love and attention.
I got you.
From my understanding, the state's gonna give it a lot of TLC in the near future. So
Well, I
we
mean,
shall
that's
see.
the whole part of the thing.
Yeah, it'll be great.
Yeah.
I can bring that up, though. I'll definitely bring that up the next meeting.
All right, Advisory Board Committee updates? Good to see you here.
You have
Yes. They're right here.
transfers, right?
Yep.
They should have been signed when we received them, but we processed them anyway. If you'd sign those tonight, we'd appreciate that. We
Okay.
also, as you all saw, we sent an email to you taking in, and based upon the conversation that the select chairman and I had,
Mhm.
we are going to have, reschedule for Wednesdays to talk about resending the votes.
Okay, great.
There is a process under Robert's rules
Mhm.
that we will follow for that. And, I mean, most of the information that we received from the accountant that night was based on how we voted. This evening, we have members of the advisory board that will be doing a presentation on budget concerns.
Okay. How much time you gonna need, do you think?
Probably
10?
10 minutes.
Okay.
If questions could be held till later.
That'd be great.
Okay. And this is just for informational purposes.
And this is concerning 2017, I would assume?
Yes, well, overall.
Okay. It's coming in.
All right.
So,
Did Will say we're meeting again this Wednesday?
yes, the chairman did say that.
Okay, because I have made 4 requests for us to convene a meeting so that we can review the transfer.
Yes,
My computer is, I've been away, and the electricity
Understand
was
that.
out this afternoon, so I hadn't gotten the email. I just wanted to be sure.
yes.
So I'll just go through the PowerPoint.
Yep, that'd be great.
All right, so some of the budget concerns that we came up with, Beverly Bartolomeo, Jeff Bennett and I put together some ideas for the PowerPoint, and it was reviewed by Will Spring,
Mm-hmm.
with some additions. One of our major concerns is that the budget that was voted on for FY17 needs to be reviewed line item by line item, so we're both on the same page,
Mhm.
both the advisory board and the selectmen. We need the debt and bond schedules. That's going to impact a bond rating. We need to increase our reserve accounts. That'll come up later in the presentation. Financial transfers, we've had an extraordinary amount of financial transfers in FY16, 69 totaling over $450,000.
Yep.
And it's very hard to keep track of a budget when you're making those kind of transfers throughout the year. At the joint meeting, the first priority should be to review the FY17 budget, to make sure that we get through that month. Identify line items within that budget that are underfunded or possibly underfunded, and possibly having an agenda item at every selectmen's meeting to review the budget to actual figures throughout the year. That way, the board and the advisory board would both know which accounts were being expended and which ones we might need to pay more close attention to, which may negate the need for transfers, as many transfers as we have. A bond rating is like a credit score. Most people know what a credit score is. Most people have credit cards, okay? The better your credit score, the less amount you have to pay in interest, okay? So for a town, our bond rating is like a credit score. We don't have a bond rating, okay? So it's as if we don't have a credit score. Bond ratings are needed to borrow money, okay? AAA is the best bond rating. EAA is one of the worst, not the worst bond rating. We don't have a bond rating. So if you look on this curve yield, okay, we're not even on there. Okay? And we need to go out to borrow.
Could you elaborate on?
Okay.
The reason we have no bond rating?
It was pulled by the bond agencies.
What?
Well, we can get into that. If you could hold your questions
Get
to
to the
after
end.
the presentation, that would be appreciated. Thank you. Okay. We're going to need a bond rating to borrow money for the new school and the police station renovations. The money for the water tower and the sewer projects, those are coming from USDA loans, and they do not need a bond rating. Okay, when you borrow money from the USDA, you don't need a bond rating. But when we go out to do long-term borrowing for the school, to do any kind of borrowing, okay, we're going to need a bond rating. Restoration of the bond rating is heavily reliant on the audit completion, which we've just learned tonight is not going to be started till January, okay? And the certification of free cash. The idea was to use the free cash certification. Hopefully it would be in the positive. We've heard it's not going to be. Okay? To help restore our bond rating and our credibility.
Can you try to speak up a little bit, honey?
Okay. So the restoration of the bond rating was projected to be in FY19. And that's, I believe, when we were projected to go out to do long-term borrowing for the projects that are under construction. That timeline has shifted. Okay. There are additional steps to restoring a bond rating. Okay. Revenue and expenditure assumptions, budget amendments, updates, long-term financial planning, long-term capital planning, investment management policies, debt management policies, reserve and liquidity policies.
Right.
If I can interject, those are,
making notes for myself.
if I can interject, those are criterias by Standard and Poor's, not
Okay.
something that we have come up with.
But we can talk about that now, okay? Part of our problem with free cash, if we look at our historical use of free cash, we've always had a problem. In FY '13, our budget was reduced 12%, and that's the year we're having the problem with, rebuilding the books, okay? Free cash was used, in '13, there was $189,000 in free cash used to supplement and support that operating budget. The year before, in FY '12, was $686,000. And that doesn't include what was used from stabilization to support the operating budget. This is a problem, it's always been a problem, and that's why we have a problem with our free cash. And when we're gonna rely on that to try to restore our bond rating, it gets into a bigger problem. So far, we know that short-term borrowing has been done, bans have been issued for the elementary school. We don't know how much has been borrowed short-term. When did the borrowing begin, at what rate, and who issued the short-term loans? And financially, we need to know that as a town, especially if we're going to go try to restore our bond rating.
Right.
That's part of that process. All right? At this point in time, it appears that free cash will not be available, okay, to help restore Templeton's bond rating. So instead of a revenue surplus, you know, it's been termed an eye-popping deficit in FY '13. I don't know what the figure is, okay? And it remains to be seen if this deficit will impact FY '14, '15, and '16 going forward. First Southwest is the institution we normally borrow from. With a AAA rating in 2017, it would be about 2% interest rate, okay? If it were a BAA, okay, in the same year, about 4.5% interest rate. That means the impact on the tax rate would be much more because you have to pay that interest. You're going to pay more in interest, okay? The principal would be the same because that would be what the project is.
Just keep coming. It's
Right
across
now,
from the
we don't
gas
even
station.
know if we're
Shell station.
BAA quality. It's unlikely that we would get our bond rating restored and go to AAA.
Right.
That is not foreseeable.
All right, okay.
Okay. Short-term borrowing for the elementary school and police projects, we have to pay that back. And in the past, the town stated that the long-term bonds would be issued in FY '19, and that free cash would be used to help reestablish the bond rating. Right, those things are no longer feasible. All right. So we need to know how to pay for the elementary school and the police station without a bond rating. How do you pay for that? I don't know.
I
Has
do.
bond counsel,
I know.
yeah?
I do. I'll tell you
Okay.
once you
All
do
right,
it.
thank you. All right, has bond counsel been contacted for an opinion on the borrowing for these projects? And what are the options to repay the very large loans of these projects? All right. So far, we've spent for town account audit expenses, okay? We've spent up to the FY '16, close to $300,000. The FY '17 budget includes the Selectmen recommendation for town accountant at $84,000, which was adopted at town meeting. That was the budget that was adopted. Both the advisory committee and the town administrative budgets included a figure of $112,000. So there's a discrepancy there. And we're still not out of the woods. This is what was paid for. FY '14, $42,690 was budgeted for the town accountant. FY '15, $80,937 was budgeted. FY '16, $109,470 was budgeted, but the actual amount was $175,460 because of all the transfers made into that to get the work done, to get the books in shape. All right, FY '17 is less than half that, okay, with the Board of Selectmen budget. I just wanted to bring that to your attention. I think that's going to be a problem coming up in FY17. Right? Big question of transfers. We've had 69 transfers totaling over $450,000. FY16, last fiscal year. I think we need to figure out a way to reduce the transfers, okay? And we should be discussing that on July 21st. And to develop a budget that includes money for training, and to review it budget to actual on a regular basis. The reserve account, stabilization account is $142,326.99. That seems like it would be enough money, but that's backing up almost a $14 million budget. That's your piggy bank in case anything goes wrong. And that's going to be an issue if Templeton wishes to restore its bond rating. Usually for your reserves, you should have at least 5%, and that you would get a better bond rating for that. And we're barely 1%. We're stuck without the audit, and we've been stuck for a few years now. And we don't know when the audit will be released. We just found out tonight it won't be started until January, and that will impact when the bond ratings are restored. So some considerations, put a halt to capital projects until the audit is released. Develop a post-audit action plan to restore Templeton's bond rating, and lift the capital project moratorium after the action plan is in place to restore the bond rating. I think at this point, we need to ask them for help.
Ridiculous.
You know, we're going through another transition. As Bob Markle said, 5 department heads in 2.5 years, another one coming on. Transitioning from an interim to another interim till we do a full-time administrator. I don't know who to ask for help from, but I think that this town needs to ask for help and guidance from somebody to get these books, our financial records in order.
Okay.
So, and that's
Thank
it.
you so much for the presentation.
Thank you.
Well done. Do you have anything else to add before?
I don't know if any other members have anything to add.
John,
Do you have anything? Yes.
the town,
You're
we
recognized.
have been aggressively and actively doing what needs to be done to restore the town's financial resources. We're dealing with DOR. We don't need the Inspector General. We don't need the Attorney General. Our DOR field rep lets us know, as Bob will tell you, what needs to be done and when it needs to be done. We went through the whole issue of the bond rating in regards to the school and with the architects and the planners there. That issue was addressed. Evidently, some people didn't hear about it.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
Condescending.
And it just, to stop all capital projects, is this just a backdoor way to sabotage the school project?
No,
That's
no.
what it looks like.
I don't think so, John. I think fair points have been raised. Bob, go ahead.
Just a couple of comments. I'd like to ask Kelly to address
Please.
the issue of transfers, but before that, it's been very clear for a couple of years that the town is not going to have a bond rating until audits are completed,
Right.
as they pointed out, until we get free cash certified, although once the audits are completed, we can go ahead with seeking another bond rating. And the free cash will be certified by the Department of Revenue. This is what has happened. The records from fiscal 13, to a lesser extent 14, were in such disarray
Right.
that it has taken a great deal of time on the part of the town accountant, as well as the supplemental work that's been done by Abraham's group, to put these records in order, to prepare them to be audited. We are prepared for the audit right now. But auditors go out and sign up work from a variety of communities, And typically, when the fiscal year ends, they begin the work that they're signed up to do. I can assure you that every effort has been made through the accounting office to get those records in good order for auditing. It has just taken this much time to do it. And now the auditor is telling us that they're going to have to do the work that they've committed to do and postpone the town's audits until January. I think we can take that at face value. This is a very professional firm, very demanding firm. They've required, as Kelly will certainly confirm, they've required the town to produce more financial records than we anticipated in the beginning, including subledgers. We thought the general ledger would be enough. No. They want subledgers for revenues and expenditures and so forth. Took more time. I expect that they will arrive in January, and they will begin audits of fiscal 13, 14, and 15. And I guess we should sign them up for 16 as well, since that fiscal year has just ended. The money is available and put aside to cover the cost of those audits. All we need is for the firm to actually perform the work. I expect that the work will be done for the 3 fiscal years at least, if not the 4th, by March, at the latest April. Once those audits are completed, and we're still talking fiscal 17, we can then seek a bond rating from the bond rating houses. And that's what they have required all along. And until we get the audits done, we're not going to get a bond rating. So I think one of the points I would contest is that I expect the town to have a bond rating in fiscal 17. Let's assume the absolute worst. I don't know how it would happen, but if it doesn't happen in 17, it happens in 18, not 19. We're going to have to issue the bonds in fiscal 19. And I have no doubt that by the end, at least, of fiscal 17, the town will have a bond rating. My guess, single A, maybe double A. Depends on the economy. I would certainly have predicted a double A if we had the reserves that we anticipated up until the point that we got the report from the auditor's office that there's a massive deficit for fiscal 13. That is going to, what happens is a deficit goes against your free cash. It's going to be subtracted from our free cash.
Right.
And so we could end up with very little, if any, free cash when the audits are completed because of that. If, in fact, that had not happened, I have no doubt that we would be very much oriented toward a double A rating for the town because we would have an abundance of free cash, we could augment reserves, and the town would look very good to the bond rating houses. That's a question right now, but I have no doubt we're going to have a bond rating this fiscal year. It doesn't take auditing firms 6 months to do their audits. It will take them about a month to do each audit. And I guess if we contract for 16, it might take them into April to get that done. But clearly, we are going to have a bond rating in time for the borrowing that is necessary for the schools. Another item, we have not borrowed any money for the school project. Zip, none. No temporary borrowing has been done for the school project. No bands, nothing.
I've been telling them that for
What?
weeks. I've been telling them that for weeks that they won't listen.
Well, we just simply haven't done it. We're going to have to do it. We're going to have to get into that, but as of right now, there's no temporary borrowing being done for the school project. With regard to, and obviously some expenditures have been made not so much for the town accountant herself, but rather the additional expenditures for the support that we've been funding to get this work done. As far as a concern that we're going to turn up a deficit for fiscal 14, remember, we had one. It was $505,000, and the town closed that gap with the layoffs of 16 employees in the last 7 weeks of the fiscal year. So there's no deficit in fiscal 14 that we have to worry about. Likewise in 15. And, I agree completely with the comments about free cash. It should never be used for the operating budget. I think this board has taken that position consistently.
Absolutely.
Fiscal 15, fiscal 16, and fiscal 17 do not include a penny of free cash for the operating budget. So I think what we've all discussed, and I think it's very clear, that when we get free cash, it's going to be used for several purposes. Number one, one-time capital purchases, or number two, augmenting reserves, putting more money in the stabilization fund. That's very important because that will determine the bond rating of the town. They look at a whole variety of factors, as they pointed out, but clearly among the important factors is how are your reserves? What happens if there's a crisis? Can you reach for money? And we are at 142 on the low side. The town should be in the range probably of $750,000 to $1 million in free cash on hand. It's going to take some time to build that up, but clearly running budget surpluses and being careful about spending will enable the town to build up the stabilization fund. As far as the transfers are concerned, I've had 3 or 4 discussions with Kelly about those transfers, and I'd like to ask her to address that.
Well, one other thing that I would like to address in the presentation, the fiscal 13 audit, it has begun. It has not started. The biggest issue, 13 is in order and it's very clean at this point. The issue we have is with the prior year's audits. The balances do not tie to the fiscal 12 audit. The balances, there is no backup as to what makes these numbers up. I have had to go back a number of years on each line item to tell this audit firm, what does this make up? We have grant money that's been sitting on the books since 2001 that has had nothing done with it. So that's where we have come to the halt, because I have sent them thousands of pages. I may spend 3 days on one line item to go back and do all the research to figure out what this is to get them so that we can have a clean final audit for 13 going forward. So that when I'm responsible for these books, I can tell you, when you come in my office, I can tell you exactly what this number is and what it makes up. This is the first place I've ever worked that I have not had that luxury. And we will have that luxury when I'm finished with this. So I want to be clear, the audit has started. It's because of all of these other issues in prior years that have now caused this halt, because they realize that doing these audits for us are a lot more complicated than what they first were told. 13 is clean. It is clean, but we do have a significant deficit. So I just want to make sure that that's clear in everyone's mind that that's where it is. It's in the prior years that are having to be addressed and fixed. They will have numerous prior year adjustments in 13 to clean up the prior years. So I just want to make sure that that's clear, because I don't want anyone to think that work has not been done. It is completed. 14, all of the data is in the software, ready for me to post and reconcile. But I have spent all of this extra time working on 13, And I think, okay, finally, they have everything, and then they come back with another list. Well, what is this? This doesn't tie either. So I just want to make sure that that is public record, that 13 audit has started, 13 books are clean. It is the prior years that we're having the problems with.
Transfers.
As far as the transfers go, we have had a number of transfers these last 2 years. I agree with that 100%. I am still in the process of learning how all of this works, and I have found that in doing the transfers, we have to make sure we don't have one line item that is a deficit or that goes against the town. And if there's a way to avoid that, then that's what we need to do. And by doing the transfers, it keeps that clean. Granted, in the first year, we did a lot of transfers in 15 because I was brand new trying to learn this. I'm still in that process. So, yes, there were a lot of transfers. There's probably a lot that could have not been done. But due to my learning curve of what I'm learning, that's why we had so many probably this year. One of the biggest issues that we have as a town is we are not fluid with cash. We do not have excess money to put in line items to not have to worry about, is this going to be right down to the penny? Are we going to overspend in this account? If we had extra money, that wouldn't be an issue. But I'm trying to keep us in line of our books being solid so that we're not having to have deficits to be reported to the DOR that will cause the residents their taxes to go up. So that would be my reason for the transfers. And again, maybe we've had more than we should have, and I apologize for that, but I am still in the learning process.
Have you spoke to the Department of Revenue?
Yes, I have.
And what have they said?
I spoke with them. Do you want me to go over the listing? I spoke with the Department of Revenue about the transfer issues that we have in the advisory committees choosing not to make those transfers. I was told that it is their right as that committee to make those determinations. There's nothing that the town can do about that. I have the transfers that we discussed. The first one was for the police department vests. That one was approved. They did have 2 concerns to bring up, is they wanted to know why the tax lien expense had not taken place this year. Today, I was back from vacation and I sat and spoke with both Bob and Kate. There was a tax lien taken with American Tissue this year. However, Carol Lee did that process and she put it against her tax taking expense instead of the tax lien. So we did have one tax lien. It was miscoded to the wrong account. The other question was, why didn't the police department go out for a grant to get these vests taken care of? That I'm not aware of to what the result of that is. I haven't seen Chief Bennett to discuss that with him today.
Okay, can I interject right there? The police department is seeking grants regularly. We've just been notified that we're getting an E911 grant of about $111,000. Also, the chief of police has applied for a so-called COPS grant, which will enable the town to restore the one officer that was lost in the financial crisis and be paid for by the federal government for 3 years, in declining amounts. And the town will own the officer in 3 years, but it will enable us to have the officer to serve the vital role there in the night shift sooner rather than later.
Chief Bennett's doing a great job.
So.
Can I just add a little bit to that, because it's usually brought up, and rightly so, that when you bring on employees, you bring on benefits. And yes, it will be a grant and it will go downward, but it was my goal this year to fund another police officer, because of, when you do this job and you do it a little bit longer, I'm sure you can attest, Julie, that you kind of, you learn as you go, and I really felt like, wow, I didn't understand that they were operating with one person at night and what the consequences of those would be. Domestic, now, in light of recent events, just a routine stop, and you're out there with one person, that liability for us is too great. It's too great for their family, and it's too great for our town. So I'm thrilled that the police, that Chief Bennett is looking for this, but I know in my heart, in my head, it's the right thing to do, and that when we plan going forward in our budget, we're gonna have to know that that grant will run out, and we should still maintain that.
Absolutely.
So I want to be clear that, those are things that we had talked about before also, but that I'm not neglecting that in any way.
Okay, continue.
The number 2 transfer was for the fire department canisters. The advisory committee transferred from the planning board the $650. They approved the town accountant expense of $43.72. They would not approve the transfer for the $14,878 that was left in their reserve account. They felt that since we knew that this was an expense that the town was going to have to incur, that it was not an emergency need for these canisters. So they felt that under their guidelines that it was not a transfer that they could make, as it was not an emergency transfer. However, with some of the other transfers, as I go down the list, I will be sending them a new updated transfer to cover that $14,000 out of other accounts of transfers that we are able to take care of at this point after I now have all of the final numbers for the year. I finished all of that today.
Kelly, excuse me.
Can I
With
stop you two right there?
Yes.
Go ahead.
With regard to the air packs
Thank you.
for the fire department.
Yes.
And the Kevlar for the police department. It's on the capital list. They're both on the capital list. Many communities, I'm sure most communities, look at the end of the fiscal year for any unexpended funds and have done what this board has done, namely tried to take some available funds in the operating budget to fund some relatively small capital items that are needed. If we had had free cash, we could have had a capital plan. We don't have a capital program this year. No capital money being spent from the capital plan. So this is like a substitute for that. And the advantage is we don't have to borrow.
Right.
We don't have to borrow. We don't have to take it from stabilization. It's operating money.
Which was the plan to begin with, based on what the vote was, the Board of Selectmen was to take it out of stabilization.
Take it out of stabilization.
So we're not taking it out of stabilization.
And I think, first of all, the town has an advantage of having some monies available at the end of the fiscal year, unexpended, and I think this is a rightful use for it.
So I guess my question would be, I'm not sure who could answer it, is that if a vest is safety, and you said yes to that, an air pack is also safety, and how will they come to fight the fire? So what's the difference between a vest and the air packs? Like, why would you say it's not an emergency for one, but it is for another?
It's the process itself. The emergency reserve fund falls under a different chapter.
Okay.
Chapter
I'm
40,
sorry, I
section
totally didn't-
section
yep.
6, which is, it's to provide that money that's extraordinary and unforeseen. So it wasn't unforeseen, we had already talked about it, and we were bound by the law to try to end up upholding that.
It's just too bad that we're not doing it, and I understand now, I forgot about that lump of, that particular section of money, is that I spoke with the acting chief, and they will be throwing away bottles. They will not be able to use them, so how will they go out and fight your fire? That's really all I wanted to say about that, is that we need to find some way to do this for them. So I don't want to argue that point
No,
here.
I'm not going to argue the point.
Because I can't come to the meeting, so it's just a question.
When we sat with the police chief, it's the fire department chief, we asked that question, and he had a 5-year plan to replace those.
That's not even accurate anymore.
That's not accurate,
So
'cause
you need to speak to the acting chief.
Go ahead, Kate.
Okay, so
it's okay.
that means that we were given misinformation.
Apparently.
by the previous chief. Hold on
I
a second.
just
Kate.
want to make it clear for Mr. Markle
Yes.
that on both of the vests and also on the air packs, that the advisory board was well aware of the need for those items. I did serve on the capital long-range planning committee this year, so they knew of these. I can remember at one of our meetings when I asked you about the funding, if we could have articles on the town meeting warrant that these be funded, that there should have been money available, and you told me they would be on the special town meeting. They have now, one of them at least has now been fully funded through the advisory board, the other one only partially. And as Mr. Spring has explained, the 14,000, but it sounds like Kelly has things in hand, and we will have another source of income, and on Wednesday we can vote the full amount for the air pack.
All right, great, thank you.
You know, I have to say, the conclusion that I reach here is that there are very few needs at the end of a fiscal year that are unanticipated.
Right.
And unforeseen, which is, I believe, the language that the law uses. And if we have very few of those, and we have a significant number of other needs, maybe the solution is, and this won't be popular, reduce the reserve fund to $5,000 or $10,000 and put the rest of it in a budget where it can be available,
Right.
where it can be available
I think you and I
to be
had
spent for a very good purpose like this without, having funds for capital.
Right.
I
Yes.
have other solutions for
Mr.
that.
I-
Chairman,
so
it
do
seems
I.
like
Okay.
this is
I
becoming
just
more
would
of a
rather-
political debate that
Thank
we're
you.
planning on having a joint meeting coming up.
Mhm.
I think that's the appropriate time. What the advisory board has done, our chairperson, when he found out that there were some questions, he immediately scheduled another meeting to deal with that. And the point of tonight's meeting, I believe, from the advisory board, was for us to be able to come and talk about the concerns that we see with some capital expenditures and our bond rating. What we're looking at is trying to, as an advisory board, tell the townspeople, we think everything's going to be okay based off not having a credit score. We can say that you're going to be able to afford this, not knowing what your payment's going to be. And even today, we were told, well, my best guess is that we're going to get an A or AA rating. Well, we were told by the same individual that we were most likely going to be getting reimbursement for snow and ice this last year when the advisory board was in communication and advised the town that there would not be such funds. So when we bring these concerns, it's not because we're opposed to anything. We see these needs. It hurts us to make these recommendations, but we also know that we've been tasked with watching out, just looking at the funds. And it would not be in our doing our duty if we didn't bring it to the selectmen's attention that, hey, these capital expenditures, we don't know what it's going to cost. We could be going down the road where, yeah, we want this new thing, but we don't know what the payment's going to be. And so what we were merely trying to say is maybe we should wait till we know what the payment's going to be. We've never said, let's not do these. We're just saying we would recommend that the town wait till we know what we are actually going to end up for payments.
Understood. Thank
So
you.
maybe we can just-
Yeah, we can talk this on Wednesday, I guess. Yes, yeah. Go ahead.
I don't know when you moved to town, but I have been here my whole life. We have been in financial trouble since 2002. I know why Gladys had a heart attack, because things were terrible back then. We've had problems, we've lost a lot of industry. All that tax money walked out the door. Nothing has replaced it. We lost the paper mill. We lost, what else, the paper mill and Temple Stewart. We lost a lot of little businesses. Like it never, they're still there in somebody's head, but they never changed the way they did business. We have been broke about 3 times at least, maybe 4, between 2002 and now. You told people that everything's peachy, we're gonna have an A rating. How in the name of God do you think they're gonna feel when they find out they're gonna get slammed up against the head again? And that is the honest to God truth. I have people that I've talked to that will not vote or go to a town meeting because when they voted no 3 times, it was ignored. You can't fix this unless you clean up your act. We do not have a credit card.
I got it. I got it. I got it.
Chairman,
I got it.
Mr. Chairman, I take exception to being told to clean up our act. We are cleaning up the town's act.
We're doing-
It was not our doing.
Okay, John, we're doing the best we
You
can.
have to follow a budget.
We got it.
We do.
We got it. It's enough. We
Somebody
got it.
doesn't.
We got it. Thank you so much.
Can I just make one other comment,
Yes.
though it's a nice comment? I think it's a nice
I
comment.
like nice comments.
I want to thank you for doing that.
Yeah. Can I get a
Wow.
copy?
Can I, no, it's not even about, yes, that too.
Yeah, I want a copy.
So this is the kind of communication we should
This is
have been
key.
having,
So
that
now
we,
you see.
please,
I just have one question.
that we used to, so I'm just, this is great. So it opens up the conversation for us to be on the same page with you, and there's no lines crossed, meaning like you're not doing emails through this person, through that person. So we were able to, so thank you, honestly, thank you. So it gives us, not that we're not thinking about that, but just, that we can do this as a group, so yay.
John, another
I'm just saying,
point.
yeah.
Yes, John.
There was very little new information there, and there was some misleading information.
I'll take it into consideration, but it was really well done.
It's not about new information.
Nope.
It's about sharing and being
Communicating.
together, and we might not be on the same team all the time, but this is about our community. Our community. It's not about me, it's not about John, it's about us together solving the problems and moving forward. So thank you. All I wanted to say was really thank you.
Yeah.
It might not be new, but it makes it a little bit clearer to hear.
of the committee.
So,
Okay.
thank you.
We're going to move on to the next committee. Do you have a question?
I just wanted to Kelly said something, is it the past audits, were they just sloppy or?
Yes. Yes,
Horrific. Past audits
for the Lanson and Heath, yes.
of the audits.
2002.
You said something about that at Wednesday night
Yes.
meeting, and I just
All right, so-
wanted to clarify that. Thank you. Thank you.
I was on the board when those audits were being presented, and we got the same management letter
Right.
year after year with almost no changes,
Just the date change.
just a date change.
Right, I got you.
It was appalling.
Well, I mean, obviously Kelly's doing a fantastic job. She's fixing the issues, she's finding and identifying the problems, and we're gonna move on from there. And hopefully, after the 21st, when we sit down together and we go line by line.
You'll find, Mr. Chairman, if I can, you'll find that our objectives are the same as yours.
Yes.
It's just the fact that we need to take and end up communicating. And this is, since I've been on this board, I have suggested a number of times. It hasn't happened. I'm glad to see that it's happening now.
It's gonna happen. We're gonna work together. You have anything else?
I had a couple more from what my conversation with the DOR was.
Okay,
You
yeah.
wanna hear
Yeah, go
that?
ahead.
The number 3 was for the COA with the revolving account. I spoke with Deb Wagner, explained to her that we will have backup for every dollar that has been spent. She is aware now that we have a problem in the town, that we have voted the revolving funds incorrectly and that we need to correct that. She said that if I can provide her with those reimbursement documentation and the copies of the checks, that she will let that one go and not hold that against the town. So we don't need to do any transfers for that. The number 4, though, we still need to discuss with the inspector's salary. The fire department salaries, now that I have the exact amount, which is $4,806 that we are short, after speaking with Dennis today, the interim fire chief, the revolving fund for the fire inspections that was set up several years ago, there has been no money spent out of that. That account was set up to pay for his salary and their expenses with regards to the inspections that he provides. So when we get his payroll sheet, there should be a portion of that applied to that revolving fund, which has not taken place. They are going to get me the documentation for this year to show me what should have been taken from that revolving account, and he believes it will be over the 4,000, so we should not be short on the fire department salaries. So we shouldn't need to do anything with that one. The conservation, we went ahead and paid for that bill today out of the Selectmen fund, so we don't need to worry about that. And the only one that we still need further discussion on is for the town clerk certification.
The
So-
$500?
Yeah, so, I mean, there's only 3 at this point. The revised one to cover the 14,878, and then the other 2.
Okay.
So, and I will give you copies of that before you leave.
Also anticipating that we're going to see certifications in fiscal 17, monies have been put, the appropriate amount of monies have been put into the budgets of those financial officials who are eligible for certification money under state statute. They were cut, obviously, during the crisis,
Right.
and now restored in this year's budget.
Some of them have to be restored by Mass General law.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I think it's really important for Kelly to come to meetings, and we get the information right now in real time. I think your work schedule may not allow for that, and I don't get to make choices, but maybe, not working a whole day and making sure that, you come here, or we send you questions, so I just want to say, I've learned a lot in this last year from you, and I really appreciate all your hard work and all the things that you've taught me, so it's wonderful. I think, it's great. I'm sorry?
What's that?
Her salary is well paid for what she does.
Oh,
Well, thank you.
she's still underpaid as far as I'm concerned. For the work that she does, I mean, she's doing work of a
She took
CPA.
the job on, she do the challenge.
She did, and
She
she's
do what the pay was,
and
and
she's-
that's what you get.
and she's
It's
doing the challenge.
challenge of it, my dear.
Absolutely, absolutely. And she's doing well. She's doing really well. I'm very proud of her. Thank you so much for your time. Yes,
Only
well, one more
comment
question.
is that if we hadn't pushed back,
I gotta move on.
we wouldn't have resolved these through other means. The whole idea on some of this was that there were things that were done incorrectly that needed to be corrected.
Processes.
I mean, the
Absolutely.
process and the policies.
I got you.
And that's really what we're,
We're working it.
We need to raise a question about that, incidentally. Kelly spent an entire day
Oh, yes, yes.
spent an entire day filling out individual forms for individual transactions. I don't know of any place, anywhere, where that kind of bureaucracy, was it 43 pages, is required for financial transfers.
let me say this, in checking with other towns, they have the same, like form, with the same questions. And those are the end-of-year transfer forms a lot of the communities use. They may not look exactly like ours, but the questions on there are for information for them as well as us to can be able to make the transfers. It's unfortunate we have that many transfers at the end of the year. It's generally not that many transfers, but that's the process that's used by many, many
You can
communities.
give me the communities that are doing that and what documentation they have?
I'm not aware of any community that I've ever served in that has a process so cumbersome for financial transfers. Simply isn't the case. Now, if there are communities around here that do it, maybe that's true. I'm not arguing with
Bring it
you.
to the meeting.
I would say it is a grossly inefficient use of the
Of time and
time
space, yep.
of our town accountant.
None needed.
All right, we'll move on to the next item. Town building projects.
Don't think we have.
We don't have anything for that?
No, this was,
Are we going to talk about the lights?
I wanted to ask if we can get a light put in there. After the project was started, when I thought it was approved, we had the light taken out, and now you can't see it in that corner. I actually had to move the file cabinets over to the other side. So I wanted to see if we could get a light put in there. I got the estimate from the electrician.
What was
He
that?
said it's gonna be 800 to 1,000 because.
Do we have money in the account for the end of year?
Oh,
money?
yeah, there's plenty of money in the account, but he's gotta go up through the ceiling, and it's quite an undertaking.
Okay, I just need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve a light for the office.
I will second that.
I got a motion, a second. Any discussion?
I do.
Yes.
Okay, we can't use this year's funds for that. because we're past.
And it wasn't
we would have
already identified.
We would already have had to
Oh, I
have a
thought she-
contract with the.
No, FY 17.
Oh, okay, for 17,
And the
that's
new,
fine,
yeah.
okay,
It's
yes.
17.
Oh, okay.
17.
Wanted to make sure that that
Thank you
was
for
clarified.
clearing. Well, you're good at your doing. You're on it. Okay, so 17, motion and a second. Any other discussion? I hear none. Diane?
Yes?
Julie?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Amen to the light.
Speak now.
Yes. Yes, sir. Sorry, thank you for waiting. I
Thank you
do
for taking
apologize.
me. I live on South Road.
Yes, sir.
I moved here in 2005, raised my family from young kids all the way up to adults who are now buying houses in the town. In 2006, I acquired a piece of land across the street from my farm, from the original owners, and discovered that, that the town is illegally dumping on my land. So I went to Bud Chase and I discussed my concerns with him, who blew me off, and never got back with me, never discussed anything with me. In the meantime, I lost my parents, I lost my sister, I put it on the back burner. I didn't bother with it for a while, but I take cordwood off this land and I use the cordwood to heat my home, and I am on Social Security disability. I sell some of the cordwood so I can live and eat.
I got you.
I don't collect welfare, I don't collect any kind of assistance, so we eat what we have. Well, in 2 years ago, because I can only work now across the street because the town's illegally dumping. They don't have a right of easement, they have 3 illegal pipes going onto my property, where all the runoff from South Road travels down, and all of it ends up on my land. So I brought this to Mr. Markle's attention. He blew me off. Never got back with me. It took me 3 other letters to get to him, which he's never, ever sent me anything. All he did was emailed me one time and said that I was right, that the town doesn't own any rights of way on my land, and that the town doesn't have any money, and that there's nothing they can do about it.
What's your first name?
My name is John, John, Bohigian, Bohigian.
What's your phone number, John?
It's 774
Yep.
578
Yep.
8243.
And what's the address? 824
171 South Road. The property's located on 172 to 178 South Road. Well, anyhow.
And the last 4 your phone number is 82.
774 578 8243. Anyhow, I've came down this office a couple times to talk to Mr. Markle about it. Give me a cold shoulder. And finally, I sent the certified letter, after speaking to a lawyer, sent him a certified letter down here, and I demanded that, I told him I'm not in partnership with the town of Templeton. They don't have the right to tell me how many months out of the year that I can work, because I can only get across that street in the summer. Because as soon as October, November water comes, I can't get across the street to get no wood. So I can't start working again until April 1st, and that's if I can get a truck across the street.
Okay, John.
So the town's runoff has caused my land to go down in value. And so I sent a certified letter to Mr. Markle, and he never responded back to it. I gave him a 30-day notice. I wanted to have the land, I'm just asking like a gentleman. I just wanted the water stopped running on my property and restore it back to what it looked like. Well, we can forget the restoring part. I just want the water off my property.
All right, John.
Okay?
I do.
It's fell on deaf ears till I finally had to come here today, when I read in the paper that Mr. Markle's day was gonna be today. I don't wanna rain on his parade, he did a great job for the town, etc. But I'm here for myself only,
It's
okay?
not on deaf ears, John. We're gonna take a look into it. I'll talk to Bud, and I'll
Well,
take a
you can
piece.
talk to Bud
I'll
if
drive
you-
down to your
I'm
house.
sorry to interrupt you.
I'll drive down to your house. I'll say hi. I'm also disabled as well, so I have the time to drive by, swing by, and say hi, and
That's
see,
fine.
take some pictures, and talk to Bud, and then hopefully come up with a solution so the legalities don't have to get in the way of good
Well,
business.
I want to tell you, this has caused me such financial hardship that I've decided to sell my farm. And I'm thinking I'm gonna sell my land too. Because there's no sense for me to be paying taxes to this town for 12 months out of the year when I get to use that land for only 7. Mr. Nygaard doesn't get that water runoff. Mickey Wilson don't get that water runoff. Matt LeCoeur don't get the water runoff. They got 3 illegal pipes, and I want them out of my property.
Okay. Thank you, John, for coming in
Thank
and
you for
expressing
hearing me.
yourself. I
Thank
really
you
do
very much.
appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
I know the area he's talking about. They're old farmer culverts that drained off that field to the other side of the road. Probably at one time, the same guy that put them in, drained his fields. You know, that's what we do, we get rid of the water.
Well, this particular.
There is a legitimate issue what he's talking about.
Okay.
I think Bud's gone up there, but probably made his head spin when he saw what it was gonna have to entail.
Well,
But when we do the road next year, I think it will all be addressed, whether or not, you know, you can channel it all the way down to the water tank, which is what would have to happen. We'd have to raise the road to channel it all the way to the tank and out that way.
Right.
But it's more than meets the eye.
okay. I'll
Okay,
take a
I'd
peek.
like to say that also, that it's not runoff from the fields, and if you know the property, it's diverted rainwater that comes down the right-hand side of the road, that someone stuck 3 separate culverts to divert the water, okay? And 1/16 of a mile from this area, there's a culvert that accepts the water and shoots it down across the back behind my, where they were gonna build all those homes behind me on South Road.
Okay.
So it's very easily just to make a trough all the way down to that giant culvert, catch basin, and let the water pick up there and go, because you'll never get water to run uphill, because that's all downhill.
Water can't go uphill?
Most high
I'm
enough.
trying to make them.
Well, that's gonna cost more money it's gonna cost more money to go shoot it back up the road
Right.
than it would just to just let it go. It's natural course, which is what it would naturally do. If those culverts weren't there,
Right.
it would take a natural course all the way down to the culvert.
All right, well, thanks, Sean, I will
Chairman,
definitely be back.
Can I
Yes.
just comment? I have been contacted. The highway superintendent's been contacted. We have looked at this thing several different ways. There is every disagreement about the responsibility of the town. Now, I did get something called a cease and desist order from this individual. You get cease and desist orders from the courts, not from individual citizens. And the plain truth is, drainage is needed all along that area. We've talked about drainage here before. And the only way this problem is going to be solved is with the reconstruction of the street, bringing drainage all the way down the hill to the bottom. And that's going to be a significant cost. There aren't any short-term solutions. If in fact those, no one knows where those culverts came from or how long. Bud did tell me that they have been there longer than he's worked for the highway department. If in fact those culverts are closed, what will happen is you'll have flooding on the other side of the street, possibly undermining the street itself. And so this is one of these intractable problems that's only going to be resolved for this individual and for others who live in that area by the town investing significant resources in drainage.
Okay.
Can I ask a question too, please?
Yeah, go ahead, John.
I'd like to ask the town to give me an abatement on my taxes and to abolish my taxes until they do something about it. I might not be here in a year. I've been paying my taxes. This is the first year I paid $4,500 cash last year for my back taxes because I was gonna just give the land right up. But my wife said, don't give the land up, pay for it, John. I went down to the bank, got a cashier's check, paid for it down here. This year I owe about $700 or $800 on the taxes. I mean, the taxes will keep going, but yet I'm only gonna get 7 months out of the year to make
I
that
got you.
same living. So I want the town to abolish my taxes
Well,
until,
obviously,
until they, or give me an abatement against my taxes.
Let me look at your stuff.
You're the
I'm
only
gonna-
one?
No, well, I have a legitimate issue.
I'm gonna come down and see you. I'll look at the property, I'll take some photos, and then I'll deal with it, okay?
Thank you,
And
sir.
Obviously,
I
we'll
appreciate
refer it to
your
the
help.
Board of Assessors if need be. I'll work with Bud, and obviously Mr. Marco's leaving, but I have to take his notes into consideration as well, and he's right. I mean, you send us a certified letter to assist, and, cease and assist it.
Well,
really-
what am I, I'm just a taxpayer.
I understand.
I'm not a lawyer,
No,
and.
I understand where you're going,
The
but
last
I'm
thing
glad
I
you're
wanna
here.
do is end up in court with the town of
No,
Templeton over land that we're talking about doing the right thing up here and everything. I put that in my letter 50 times. All I have to do is be contacted, and told me what you wanna do.
I got your name and address, and I will see you, I promise.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, let's move on.
Chairman?
Yes.
I forgot to have you vote on the substitute transfer.
Oh, you have that list?
Substitute for the 14.
If you don't mind, I'm gonna leave.
Yes, go ahead, John, thank you, I'll be in touch.
Thank you very
You
much.
have that in your packet.
Oh, yeah, I got it. I got it. You did. I didn't get a chance.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve these transfer lists as presented.
I second that one.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I see none. Diane?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Thank you for bringing that. This is great. Thank you so much.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes?
I just spoke with the individual who was going to be here to be interviewed to be interim town administrator.
Yes.
He said he arrived in town at 20 minutes of 7 because of traffic, has been looking for this building for more than an hour,
Across from Cumberland Farms?
and basically said, apparently this is not meant to be, and he's withdrawn.
Great. Thank you so much for that.
So, I mean, this is what I will do. Tomorrow, I will be in touch with some other resources that I know. Be in touch with some other resources, and I will have them send you another short list. Collins.
All right, so,
Where Julie is.
well, obviously, since your resignation actually terminates effective, I think, midnight tonight, which means effective tomorrow, we will not have a town administrator or a leader in this community. So I would like to entertain a motion from my fellow Board of Selectmen to that the Board of Selectmen will instill policy and work, at least as much as we can, to make the decisions as for the town administrator. In the absence of the town administrator, we hire either an interim town administrator or a full-time town administrator with the assistance of obviously Holly and the Board of Selectmen's office and the Board of Selectmen as a whole.
That would be the motion I was going to make, so moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any comments, questions, concerns?
No, I just want to, yes, actually, I do have some comments.
Yes.
So it is our job to lead, so that if that means that we need to meet more often, unfortunately, I will be leaving for a couple of weeks.
Yep.
I am happy to try to participate remotely from where I will be, but if it means that we have to meet more than twice a month, which I believe we will, that we need to do that.
Well, hopefully, we're gonna have some names and on
Well,
the 25th.
right, but
we'll
until
be
that
able to-
time,
Well, I mean, we just have to,
right,
things are just gonna have to stay in abeyance unless it's an absolute necessity.
No, we,
Till the 25th.
well, everything's a necessity as far as I'm concerned, here
the
in this
employees
community.
need direction.
They need leadership
and support
and guidance.
So we can't just leave them and say it's status quo, so.
Somebody's gotta be in charge
Yep.
of the ship.
So we are.
So we're gonna be in charge of the ship,
That's-
and until either an interim or
I
a
just
new
wanted
one.
to make that point.
Thank you for the motion and the second. No other discussion. Diane?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, Dave, I'm sorry.
Maybe once a week, every Monday, until you get a guy in charge, would be a good thought.
That would be a good thought. That would be a good thought. Let me, we're gonna have to vote on that, too.
We'll get you a good list quick tomorrow.
The meetings will be posted. I mean, I'm not gonna, we're gonna meet every Monday up here on this table. I'm just not gonna put us out there like that. At this point, I'll work with Mr. Marco on the list and the other Board of Selectmen members. All right, so we have a motion, no other discussion. You good? All right. Diane?
Yes.
John? Yes. And I vote yes.
You don't know about that.
What's this? I didn't read that. Want me to read it?
No, I can, but Holly, it's not in the agenda. Oh, all right, so you have to.
They didn't have a chance to update the agenda.
It's posted, but it's not on there. So you have to look it up.
Oh, all right.
I don't-
We're good. Okay, so
Okay, so we're
gonna-
at old business.
Old business?
Selectmen's comments?
Selectmen's comments. Any selectmen's comments? John? Sorry.
I want to sincerely thank Bob Markle for his time here, for his efforts. And I've been involved in local government in one way or another since 1970. Bob walked into a situation that I have never seen in my life. It was of a magnitude that I can't describe. And with his calm demeanor and grace and his utmost professionalism. He's done a lot to resolve the issues. He's professionalized town government to an extent that I've never seen, and hopefully we're going to be able to continue in the path that he started.
I totally agree with you. Totally agree.
You will be missed. Thank you.
Yep. All right, any, no other selectmen's comments?
I move we adjourn.
Well, before we do,
Executive
so, we're posted, those executive session posted per Mass General Law, Shawi 30 Alpha, Section 21.3, to discuss strategies with respect to collective bargaining or litigation of any open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining of litigation positions of the public body, and the chair so declares.
Just a point of order here.
Yep.
The agenda that I was given is.
Yeah, it was posted online, it wasn't.
It's just not
Oh, okay.
printed
on
on
your
our
copy.
site.
Okay.
It was online.
You have to say if we're going to.
Heaven
We are
forbid we
not
have
gonna-
a frivolous open meeting violation.
No, and we are not gonna open, we're not gonna reopen.
I
Board of
printed
Selectmen.
this just before I came,
Where was that?
online, town website.
Posted it while I was sitting here.
Oh, okay, so now it is.
Thanks, Holly.
Yes, you can update it.
Okay.
Thank you all so much. Will, I really do appreciate your works.
Did it during the meeting?
Thank you so much.
Did it during the meeting?
Did you get my message?
I never heard that.
I put my glasses
I thought
on.
it was 48 hours.
You can make changes to the agenda.